Shout to the Encounter Sounds podcast. So if you're vibing with the sound, let me hear you say, I'm tuned into it. If the encounter's where you're bound, let me hear you say, I'm tuned into it. If your eyes have seen the light, let me hear you say, I'm tuned into it. For that knowledge and insight, let me hear you say, I'm tuned into it. Shout to the Encounter Sounds podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Encounter Sounds podcast, and today's going to be a fun one. I have some young folks in the house, and it's going to be a great conversation. I know you guys going to enjoy. And tonight I have Judah Thompson and Elijah Thompson, who are sons of Apostle Damon and Miss Tammy Thompson, with Papa D and Mama T. We love them very much. And we also have Ethan Townsend, son of Pastor Jason and Missy Townsend. So I'm so excited to have you boys here. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Yes, sir. We're excited.
Awesome.
So,
I'm happy you guys took the time to join us, and want to talk a little bit about, your life. You guys grew up, and want to also talk about, living a life as a teenager in revival. There's interesting things we can talk about.
Yeah.
And then we're going to touch about the business that you guys are starting. Very excited to have that conversation.
Yes,
so why don't we start with you, Judah? Share with us a little bit, man.
all right. So I was born in Alabama, actually. I think it was around like hour and a half, 2 hours from here. We just moved back, so I'm still like trying to learn everything. April 10th, 2008. And I mean, we've just been like chilling. We moved to South Carolina for 10 years, so that's all I knew, just been living. I mean, once we moved back here, it's just been amazing. I love Alabama, getting back to like this state. I mean, it's honestly amazing. The church life's amazing. So
How old were you when you guys went to South Carolina?
I was 5
5.
because we were there for 10 years. So, and I'll turn 16 Wednesday. So, yeah, 5 years. Yes, sir.
So you don't remember very much Alabama before?
Honestly,
No, right?
Like whenever we'd visit here, I'd know where like nothing was.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was all new to me whenever we moved here.
Cool, man. Cool. What about you, Elijah? Share with us a little bit.
Yes, sir. I was born here in Mobile. First church I ever went to was the same church that we go to every day, and moved to South Carolina when I was around 7. So moved here when I was around 17. So 10 years, which is really cool. And I was really grateful to live in South Carolina during those some of the most influential years of your life. Where you really become who you figure yourself out.
Yeah.
And I'm more of like more so than them, just more of kind of like a country boy. Like, I loved the hunting and fishing and stuff in South Carolina, and that's I wear a lot more camo than they do. So but I think that was definitely because of the people I was around in South Carolina and the hobbies that I picked up there that, moving to Alabama, those hobbies haven't had to go away. This is definitely fueled that lifestyle for me. So it's been awesome to get back here.
How much do you miss those woods?
When we lived in the neighborhood that you live in is where I used to live. When we lived here, I missed it a lot. Now that we're out on some land, I have that back, and that's awesome. But it was like we lived on a couple acres in South Carolina, but we were just around a lot of land. Yeah. And then some of our good friends had a lot of land around there, so we got to like hunt and fish out there. But now we got that back, and hopefully we'll get to expand that soon.
That's good, man. I was sad that you guys were leaving the neighborhood, but excited that, I know how much you guys love land, and having that space is just amazing.
Like 2 minutes down the road.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
Distance almost the same.
Somehow got closer to the church.
Yeah.
I think that was possible.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And how about you, Ethan? Share
I
with
was
us.
actually born and raised in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. Lived there until I was like 12. We moved to Crestview. I think around 13 or 14 is really when we took over Crestview. Summit, whenever it was the Summit. I've always spent my time. I always lived in Destin, Florida, Santa Rosa Beach, that whole area. So like I've been there my whole life. So and Crestview is only like 35 minutes from there. But yeah, I mean
Flex. It's a little flex.
What a terrible area to.
Yeah. Spend time in Santa Rosa Beach next to heaven.
Pretty
See
much.
stuff in the backyard.
Like,
Yeah. I have memories of just being there all the time. Just in Seaside, in Baytown.
we were just there, and he was walking around. He was like, Baytown. He's like, oh my God, I love this tree house. I used to do schoolwork.
Yeah.
You were born in heaven, man.
Oh yeah, pretty much.
That's
it.
awesome. And I actually saw this quote the other day. This famous astronaut that went to one of the guys that went to the moon for the first time, and when he first saw the Earth from space, he said, "People say they want to go to heaven when they die, but they actually go to heaven when you're born." Just because how amazing, like what he saw was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I thought that was a very cool quote. Now, Judah and Elijah, you guys, your dad has been in revival for a while.
Yes, sir.
And you guys were almost basically born in revival. Share with us a little bit about how this, because you almost like never really experienced normal church, I think. How was for you guys to grow up in revival with this, this constant like presence of the Lord and always continuous seeking for more and learning to be hungry for the things of God, and also a lot of sacrifice that I think as a family you guys have done over the years. So I'd love to hear from the inside, right? As the kids, you guys are kind of known as the PK in the religious world, but I think your experience is quite unique. Love to hear a little bit about, how you guys grew up in church and what that experience has been like for you.
So yeah, I mean, like ever since I could like even like see the earth, I've been in church. That's all Dad's done. But recently, I think I've been like discovering that revival's within you. Revival's not part of a church. Like, because I think you see so many churches now just like burn out, or they don't carry what they used to carry because it's the people that carry the revival. So whenever like you have a measure of revival inside your heart, the church can express that, but I think Yahweh puts it in us.
That's amazing.
And so that's the way I look at it. Like, I mean, I'm definitely still like learning, but I think as I've grown, the revival's grown in me. So like, yes, I was around revival, but I don't believe that, like, I mean, from such a young age, like I've been around revival, so I was able to like adapt to it and see that, but that grew something in the inside of me to be like, this is what I want, because I can see when someone's in revival versus when someone's just in church, just like, like they're halfway in, halfway out. It's like, I want where like the inside of me is burning and I have revival in me. So that's how I like view that.
When do you think that clicked for you, where you understood, okay, revival is beyond the four walls, it's something that really needs to happen in me? And when do you feel like that transition happened? What was the trigger that helped you understand that?
Like a little over 2 years ago, I went like through a lot of like anxiety in my life, where it was like, I mean, we weren't even really in church because Dad was dealing with like a lot of health issues. And so it was like I had to figure things out on my own. Like Dad was there and I could ask him, but it wasn't like I was in church every day. So it was like, that's why I view it now as revival's in somebody, because the way revival was like grew in me, I wasn't even at church. It was me sitting in my room saying the only thing that can get me through this situation right now is Yahweh, is reading the Bible and going to him and sitting at his feet. It's the only way I can grow. And then once Dad like came out of his thing and started preaching again, we went to like Chattanooga and stuff and like Covington, and like just like in those church services, I would have never been in that spot if it wasn't for this season I had to walk through, which I'm so grateful for now that I'm healed from all that. But like without that season, I would have never like I don't believe I would be in the spot I'm in now, because I believe something in me had to click to where it wasn't just like I'm going to church every day and this is normal. Like it's not a normal thing, you know?
Yeah.
It happens all the time, but it's not a normal thing. And I had to realize that like the face of Abba is like where I need to be. And I know like sometimes like I'll get distracted and I'll go out and I'll be doing different things, and like that's not my focus, and I can tell, like I can get spun out. And now I believe that because I went through that, I can just like be like super still and like know that that's what like keeps me in the place that I am.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, do you feel like if you don't need to answer if you don't want to, but do you feel like part of that anxiety was like what your dad was walking through and or it was
to an extent, because I think that caused me to kind of be like more on my own and kind of be more like sheltered or whatever. But I don't like think that was the reason. I think that now that I look at it, it's like I had to go through this so I could help others through it. And so I could be like a voice to be like, you don't have to go through what I went through, because like Yahweh walked me through this. And like, I mean, it was bad. Like I would never like wish that on anybody else, but I would walk through it 10,000 times again to know the spot that I got to because of it.
Wow, man. It's I think it's so awesome that you are learning that at such a young age, because we can kind of become codependent on church.
Yes.
And I can say for myself, I grew up in church and you know, being through revival at different points of my life. And 2020, I would say it wasn't easy for me at times, you know, where we're not having church. You kind of have to develop that relationship of you and Yahweh. And at times it was very hard. It was sometimes even, you know, lonely, and you're, you know, so much going on.
You have to be honest in these moments. You know, you don't get a choice.
Yep.
You don't get to just be like, all right, well, you know, church is tomorrow. I don't have to do it.
Exactly.
Internally, you're trapped with yourself, and you can stay trapped with yourself, or you can let God in.
Now, what would you say for you, Elijah? This, you know, growing up in revival, when do you feel like things really kind of click? And one thing that I have to say I admire about all of you guys is the level of sensibility you guys have. Like, it's such a level of tenderness where it's like there's not much effort for you guys to be completely, you know, crying, and that the level of tenderness is so amazing at the age you guys are. And I really would say inspires and challenges us, because you see that, okay, sometimes you were there and sometimes you might not be feeling anything, and then you see someone completely melting in the presence of the Lord, and he's like, wow, there's, you know, adjustments that you need to make. So I really admire and appreciate that in you guys. But I would love you to talk about that a little bit, you know, growing up in revival. And when do you think, because you can go to church, it's one thing, but having a personal experience and relationship, there's a moment that shift happens, you know?
You know, I would say 2014 was when I first knew what was happening with revival, first experienced revival in the 90 days in Chattanooga, which led into Gulfstream, which is where we really started doing a lot of stuff in Crestview. And that's when I first experienced it, but I was very young, so I didn't really know what was going on. And then I would say after Dad's health crisis, so 2022, we went into revival in Chattanooga once again, same church, on the 8 years of the 2014 situation. And I think that's when it kind of like set in for me, because I had, you know, obviously we had Carolina revival, and that was always amazing, but it wasn't like it wasn't obviously wasn't even what we have now, where it feels like it's a blowout every time. It was kind of like in 2022, I remembered what I first experienced in 2014, and I realized, like, I don't know, it was my first time seeing Dad back since his health stuff, and we were really in the swing of things, and it felt like it was never going to end. And that was when I was kind of like, okay, it was like a remembering of an old feeling that I had. And then, so that I would say February 14th, Valentine's Day 2022. That was the turning point. And then it's really just been a uphill since then, and like figuring out what I actually want, like what I was actually made for. And then I think the sensitivity for me, I can't speak for them, but for me, it's because there's been highs and lows. It's because I can say, I know what it really feels like when the Lord's like really moving on me in a moment. And I know what it's like to not feel that, like I know what it's like to be in the church service and be like, I don't feel, and then now when I catch myself in a moment in the church service where I'm not focused and I'm not sensitive to the Spirit, it scares me. And I'm like, wow, what am I? I start to talk to the Lord. I start to wrongfully examine myself and almost start to blame it on myself. And then that's when he reminds me that it's really, truly what I want when I don't feel it and it scares me. That happened like a couple weeks ago. I was talking with Ethan about it in the car and I was like, I didn't feel his presence at the beginning of the service and it scared me. And the Lord was like, okay, now you know that this is truly what you want. So I think the sensitivity comes from highs and lows. It comes from, it hasn't always been perfect. And there's been struggles and we've been through stuff, me and Judah, and then me and Ethan with Judah, before Ethan really got connected with us, there were struggles. Since he's been here, there's been struggles. So I think when you get into the moment of a service where the presence is really riding in, I can open up because I know what it's like when it's not, when I don't feel that. And I just know that I sleep better at night and I'm happier when I open up and let it happen.
I completely agree. Like, honestly, for me, like, I feel the same way, Elijah, but I also feel like to add on to it, like, inside of it all, I feel like the sensitivity is a thing, but we wouldn't be like that if it wasn't for the leaders and the fathers that we have in our lives. Like, if it wasn't for the fathers and people in our lives that told us who we were, told us who we are, we wouldn't understand that that's who we are and dive into it and chase after that deeper and deeper and then go into it. Because, I mean, for like to the bottom line of it all, for me, it comes to like knowing who I am. And inside of just knowing who I am, that wrecks me. Like, that's just a whole nother thing of just knowing that I'm beloved and knowing how he sees me inside of it all. And so, like, I know that, like, sometimes I'll, like he said, like, there's a forgetting and then there's a remembering where it's like that reminding is so important for me, especially that, like, I have to constantly refresh and remind myself who I am and be in it and live in it. And that really pushes me into a lot of those, like, the sensitivity of the encounters and everything like that. Cause I know who I am. And so it's like, why shouldn't I be this? Why shouldn't, there's nothing holding me back now to experience what I'm supposed to experience if I know who I am.
We've been given full permission to do that.
Yeah.
I'm reading Abba's Child right now by Brennan Manning, and I didn't realize this is where Dad he would always tell me this when I was younger. I didn't realize obviously a lot of it, what we talk about is just so perfectly phrased in that book.
Yeah.
But one of the things is that my dad always told me when I was younger, whenever I would rarely open up and let myself have an encounter, he would say, people say it's not manly to cry, but the shortest verse in the Bible is he wept. And we don't have a better man than Jesus.
Yep.
So if he cried, then why, he was fully God, but he's also fully man. We've never had anybody really be fully man. So it's like, if he can cry, why do we say it's not manly to cry? And then obviously came across that in the book. And it just, it's not like, obviously don't ever hold back crying, but it's like you can up that to, like, if Jesus let himself be, he was fully the Lord, like God he was Jesus. So he was fully examined by the Lord. He was fully examined by God. Why would,
he didn't reserve to let himself be undone.
Why in worldly manliness we reserve ourselves from that when we have Jesus doing it?
Yeah.
So that's like, that was something I've came across recently because I read the book. It's like a reminding of, like, from day one, our leaders, which lucky enough get to be our fathers. We have them, like, just giving us permission. Yeah. And I think that's why, like, I think that's why everything's happening so well here, is because you don't have leaders with pride that are wanting everything that happens to be by their power.
Yeah.
It's like
no question.
The fact that our leaders are so open to what we feel and so trust in what we feel is why we're where we're at now.
Yeah.
It's,
Exactly. Like, because there's leaders out there where they tell you, like, if you're doing these things, you're not going to experience these things.
Mhm.
Like, if you're doing this and if you're not living right, if you don't read your Bible every day, you know, like how can you expect to, do these things and understand these things and that's not the case around here. That's like, yes, there's obviously like talks where it's like, okay, you know who you are. Why are you doing that? Da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? But like when it comes to in the end of it all, for like knowing who you are and everything like this, they just want us to chase that fact. And if we understand that fact, then the understanding of it all is crap. I lost my train of thought.
It's easier to get. It's easier to. We're not when we mess up, we're not like scared back into doing the right thing.
Yeah.
It's because we've messed up enough and we've fallen into him in those moments enough that I know what it's like to mess up and run into shame. And then I know what it's like to mess up and fall into his love. And I know that one of them leads to a lot more happiness. Yeah. And, you can be told that your whole life, but you really it won't ever sink in till you do it yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Till, it's not a you mess up punishment thing anymore. So when I mess up, I immediately just fall into him. And it never has been permission to sin, because when you're fully in that, when you experience that, not fully in that because we're still growing, but when you're in that and you're experiencing it, nothing in you is like, this is licensed to sin. This is licensed to do whatever. Nothing. If that's in, like Dad always says, if somebody says that, they were looking for an excuse.
Yeah.
So I think if somebody ever told me that was their life, I would be like, well, then you just haven't really experienced it yet.
Man, there's so much on what you guys are saying here. But it's beautiful to see. It's just flowing, it's, you guys are us. We're learning that beloved identity give us total access to the Father.
Yeah.
And that distance doesn't exist no matter what the situation,
Exactly.
And I think for me, I'm much older and I have to unlearn so much.
Yeah.
Because before, anytime I messed up, I'm like, immediately I'm far. Right. So I have to kind of start from scratch. All right. Exactly. So I'm going to have to pray. I'm going to have to fast.
There's no step back.
Exactly. So this understanding of identity that you guys talked about, the understanding that he's close even when we're messing up. He's actually closer when we are messing up.
Yep.
So, and then not having that pressure of performance. You can be yourself. You don't need to copy anybody. And I think Judah is one of the best to be himself and challenge everybody to, it's, being yourself is the only way they're actually going to be happy.
Yeah.
And fulfilled. Now I would love to also know how you guys connected with Ethan. You guys were in Crestville. When would you say, you started experience revival, and then what was this connection with the family here, and how that relationship between you guys started?
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and basically tell the story on basically all of it. So when I was born and raised in Santa Rosa Beach, and growing up immediately, we always went to this church called CI, Christian International, right there. It's really pushing the boundaries of Panama City. And we always went there. And it was it's spirit-filled. It was amazing services all the time. I remember sitting on my dad's shoulders in the middle of a blowout service, just watching everything that was going on. I was probably 4. But I just remember these services were just really, really powerful and intense. I didn't really understand what was going on, but I just know that seeped into me regardless, because I was there. And so I always knew that was us and stuff like that. But I guess at the time, being so young, I didn't really understand that was just life. That was why this is part of like what we do. This is us. Like I knew nothing else. And so we started all these different like ministries. We were doing like IRV because like we were always called to missions. We were called to doing these things, and that's what we wanted to do. We had the heart for the nations. That's just what we wanted to do. And so we like started like my parents went on missions trips from there and stuff like that. And we, did these different things, but we also started a ministry called IRV, Immediate Response Vessels, for like smaller communities around like Santa Rosa, Defuniak and all that stuff. We would do like outreaches. We would just go out there and we just cook a bunch of food and like play with the kids and just love on everybody. And we also like rebuilt their like porches or like remodeled homes and did a bunch of random things like that. And then we ended up moving on because we moved, and then we were like closer into Destin. And then we went to this church, which at the time it was very small. It was probably in the size of like a mobile home or a double wide mobile home. And it was called Destiny Worship Center, which now if you go to Destiny, see Destiny Worship Center. I mean, it's like it's a mega church. It might as well be a football stadium now. But like, and oh Lord, there's like a rabbit hole you can chase there if I start talking about that. Like, but we went there and we were there for a while, and we got really close to the pastors, and like they became like our leadership and stuff like that. My parents were talking to them, and then we like heard the word of the Lord. My parents heard the word of the Lord that like prepare to move. And so like we sold everything. Like we were selling vehicles. Like I sold my Xbox. Like I was moving to the Dominican Republic. Like I was preparing myself to say bye to my friends, say bye to everything. I'm not playing soccer anymore. And like I had already been to the Dominican, so I knew where I was going. And I love that place. I mean, absolutely. Like it sucks that connection isn't there anymore, which that's a whole different story. But we were there for a little bit, and the pastor was.
So you guys moved to?
No, we were preparing. We were like this close, and then like we had a conversation with the pastor, and he was like, he runs his church. He runs it like a business. I'm gonna be completely honest. It's business. It's not so much of a family and something that's actually chasing God. It's just like it's for God, but it's a business, and it's just somewhere to go on Sunday and then Easter. So, yeah. But we were there, and then a little bit like right before. We were like getting ready to start like ordering tickets, and they're like one way ticket. The Lord like spoke to my dad, and I think in a dream or something like that. And he was like, I want you to pray about it. I want you to set like a month aside to just pray about it and make sure that this is like the right thing. Like make sure that you understanding what you're doing and everything like this. And, so we spent our entire family went on a 30-day fast. We all just prayed about it and And after that 30 days, the Lord said, wait. He was like, wait. And then we kept on going to that church, and we were there for like a year again. And then we just slowly stopped going to that church because my dad came up to me in Landon whenever we were like, I think we were like 11 or 10 at this time. And he was like, what do y'all think about what's going on? Like, how do you think about it? And I was like, Dad, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I was like, I don't feel like church should be me going there and playing on a playground the entire time. That doesn't seem like church to me. That doesn't seem like I'm having a relationship with God. And Landon had the same response. He was like, okay. And so we were praying about it. And my dad, through this entire time, my dad was like yearning for a spiritual father. He was like, I want that. He was like, but I just don't know he was like, I know that there's something there that I need. I just don't know who it is and what it is. Like we had our leaders that we always looked up to, and the pastors like at Christian International and stuff like that. But he wanted an actual spiritual father that was the main contending voice that, spoke into our lives. And so then we didn't go there for a little bit, and we just did just ourselves at home, reading our Bibles and, doing our normal daily thing, but it was just us. And then some people that we used to know at Christian International came up to us, and I can't remember what it was. I think we just had like we used to do like groups of like these families that we are all super close to, and we would do like basically like church on some Sundays and Wednesdays at houses and just like commune and stuff like that. And they were like, hey, we're actually going to this place called the Summit in Destin. He was like, y'all should come check it out. And then I'm going to give a little bit backstory. When my parents were in Christian International, they were both on the leadership staff. And my dad was like the leader of the prayer team. And he would like, if like there was like an altar call or anything like that, he would like pray over them and stuff like that. And that's where, and come to find out, while Chris and Nikki Mathis were actually dating, not even married yet, they were both there at that service, and they went up to get prayer. My dad prayed over them, and he gave them a prophetic word about all these things that they're going to do. and everything like that with the churches and everything with the summit, like before it was even a thing. And so we now we're, back up more. So when we get there and we're at the summit Destin in the Destin Middle School cafeteria, because that's where it was held. Chris is like, sees my dad and he's like, holy crap, you're the Jesus belt buckle guy. Because my dad always wore a belt buckle that like had Jesus.
Still has it.
Yeah, and he still has it. And he always wore these church shoes. Like that's the only way I could put it. It was like, yeah, like loafers, and they had flames on them. They're like hot rod shoes. And he was like, you're the guy that wears the Jesus belt and the fire shoes. And you da-da-da-da. And then like they was just like that reconnection. Like, holy crap. Like, this is y'all. And it was like the immediate, like that happened. And Summit Destin was going through like a little bit of a rough patch there. They had pastors that they had ordained and sat there. And then like within a month, they just like locked the keys to that and like left without saying a word. Wow. And so then like a month later of just showing up there, like a month later, Pastor Chris was like, hey, I want to give y'all this. Like, I really feel like it's right. And then that was right after that fast. And right afterward, the Lord was like, there's something else coming. That, you're not, and this is like right when we went to that church and we had like, we're still preparing to leave. Mm-hmm. Like we had no idea that this was going to happen. And then it was just all like, it was holy from there. Like it was just amazing. So that's how we got connected with the summit, which is, with Chris Mathis. Mm-hmm. And then, they got the word of the Lord to move to Canada and everything like that. And they did that. And then we did Crestview and we did Destin at the same time. So we did both of those. And then we were like, we just need to merge the two. And everyone just, and we had like every single person that was with us in Destin, except for maybe one family moved to Crestview with us. Wow. So, I mean, it was amazing. Like we were really close knit, like the same people that were there in Destin are still with us today. And so now we're in Crestview, and then Apostle came to the picture, and when we started going to the Summit Destin and we started like doing that church, we started going to South Carolina. We started going to wilderness societies. We started doing that, and like in the beginning times, like I would see, honestly, whenever I first went up there, I thought Drake was Apostle's son. I had no idea it was them. I was like,
we just thought they were cool because they were like, they just like always wear their like soccer shoes. Yeah. Like they still like they wore like they look like they came straight. I don't know what you would call them, but they always like look like they came straight off of like the soccer field. And they always were like, as we grew up, we just would always like see each other,
but never really
like chat
or anything like that. But we always saw each other. And then that's kind of how that was the first time we ever saw him. I can't remember when that was. If it was like, trying to remember what year that was that we first started going up there, but it was like, I don't know. Anyway, so we started going to all that and everything, and it was, I still like, I would think in this point of my life, then I was really I started to just grasp the relationship part with Abba and everything like that in my own inner garden. And I started to like kind of understand it and stuff like that, but I hadn't had that experience yet, like that deep I probably hadn't had like an intense counter yet, like at all. And so, and I wouldn't say that like, I believe the understanding was there and everything was there. I hadn't really been in that atmosphere yet, because that's completely different. Yeah. Like what's going on here and what was going on there is completely different than anywhere. Like I truly believe that, because I mean we went from church to church there for a little bit, and we were doing all that. We were looking around, so it was like, once I saw that, I was like, holy crap, this is what I've been wanting. This is that thing's been inside of me. It was like I felt like I found it. I was like, these are my people. Like this is what we're meant to do. This is who we are. And so it started to just click, and that's like I feel like the snowball effect started there. The ball is just rolling, and it's just growing and growing and growing and growing. And then, but I would say the same thing, like Elijah said, that whenever we went to Chattanooga, right there, like during all the revival and everything, as soon as we went to Chattanooga, right as soon as Pops came out of that,
like 2022.
I believe that was my first time hearing the Beloved Righteousness message. Like, because like we went to South Carolina a lot, but I was still kind of like not really listening to the message. I was on my phone or doing something like that, Even in Kannapolis, I feel like there was a lot of really powerful services, but I really feel like I wasn't like actually locked in yet. I was still just kind of like, I was still a kid. I mean, but yeah, I mean that we had an incredible incredibly powerful service in Chattanooga. And I think that's when I finally realized, like, holy crap. Like, I thought, like, what I was thinking in my head this whole time was like, holy crap, like, I'm living the best life. I love my life. Like, I'm literally living the dream, like, and all this. And then I just didn't understand the deepness of it all. And then once we finally, like, that service, that when it happened, I was like, oh my God, life's a lot better than I thought it was. And I thought it was pretty great. Like, I had a pretty decent understanding. Like, I loved, like, everything that was going on. It was amazing. But then I was just like, my mind was just like blown up, and like, it was just intense. And I always feel like we, right before Chattanooga, we all started hanging out and seeing each other a good bit and actually spending time together and stuff like that.
We started playing video games together, and then that led into, like, as soon as Dad came out of the health crisis, we did a Carolina revival, and then the next night we went to Chattanooga. So it led into, like, they came and then they stayed the night with us because we've been talking on, like, PlayStation, and then it led to like we got to Chattanooga and Ethan was like, I'm not leaving. And I was like, well, I'm not leaving. And then it was like, next thing you know, it's 2 weeks and, like, we're still wearing the same pair of socks.
But it was like, me and Landon were friends, like, way.
He needs to tell, like, how him and Landon get the credit for any of this friendship. For sure.
Honestly.
Like, 100%.
I mean,
They linked
me and
up.
Now,
Landon,
just say who Landon is, just so people there.
So Landon's Ethan's younger brother, which is, like, one of my best friends. So I met Landon in, like, 2015. It was a campus sin youth camp in Ohio, and this was like, I mean, I'd encountered the love of God before, but it was like I was kind of new to everything and, like, trying to, like, find myself. And I mean, I always, like, looked up to Landon. He was there. He'd be wearing, like, those little soccer jerseys, and he had, like, dreads.
I don't know how I forgot about campus sin. I completely skipped all that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Anyways, that's like where we first like said words to each other, you know, where we were kind of like, what's up? So Landon came and prayed for me, and, like, to this day I will remember, like, what he spoke over me, and that kind of, like, drew me and Landon, like, close together. And after that is skip a few years, we were at Kannapolis at Brent's church, and that was when, like,
2019, 2018, 2019.
I'm not too good with
He was
years.
wearing
So.
a Thunder Mifflin shirt.
Yeah, so that's whenever me and Landon, like, started hanging out, and I became, like, friends with Ethan because, like, he would be there. Like, we would go get lunch after service, or we'd, like, Landon always would be the guy to wake up and, like, knock on my door, and he'd be like, let's go get breakfast, bro. And I was like, dude, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning, like, on Sunday before church. So that's kind of like how, like, I met Landon, and, like, from then on, like, we kept in touch, but he lived in Florida and I lived in South Carolina. So it was like we'd see each other, like, twice a year, and it'd be like, that was about it.
Yeah.
So that's how me and Landon met. So that's how I, like, got joined to Ethan and stuff.
Yeah, there was like a moment in the 2019. So this was like when Landon was doing, and Landon was just bringing fire, like, was short little before he sprouted up, and when he had them dreads, he would, like, always go there and just bring fire. And there was that one moment, like, where he was just up there, like, it was literally iconic. But, like, Dad said something during one of those services that I'll always remember, and he was like, in that 2019 Kannapolis stint, he said, everyone always notices Elijah and Landon, because at that time we were younger, but we had, like, the spot we would always, I don't know, we were just super open to it happening. And the spotlight always seemed like it was falling on one of us in those moments. And he was like, everyone notices the anointing on Elijah and Landon, but this is when you'll start to notice Judah and Ethan. And I don't know if y'all remember that.
I remember that.
That was just like, it seemed like that was kind of when it started. Like, that was almost when it felt like we had no choice. I wasn't friends with them at all.
Yeah.
They'd go hang out after church and go to the mall, and, like, it was the mall. The mall was the spot there. Yeah. And they would, like, hang out, and I never went. Like, they thought I hated them. And I just, I don't know. It was like we were set up then to be best friends, but it was just a process.
Yeah.
It just hadn't happened yet. I mean,
now, how pumped were you, Ethan, when the transition happened?
With them coming down here?
Like, the day that Dad was like, we're going to, like, Apostle Aaron, which I we weren't close with, I know him, but like we weren't tight. Now he's Papa. Then it was like Apostle Aaron has called and asked us to come. And I was like, Ethan, don't tell anybody this. But I'm moving to Mobile, and he was like, oh my God, it's like an hour and 15 minutes down the road. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm gonna get my license and like we'll come see each other every day. And like we thought, and I was like, but like I sarcastic. This is kind of like my thing whenever I tell somebody a secret. I'm like, forget it, right? Like forget that I told you this. This trigger. So you can like.
I did so well at that I legitimately forgot. Yeah, and I remember like my dad being like, Ethan, I gotta tell you something. He like pulled me to the living room. Me and Landon were all sitting there. It's like super serious. He's like, Apostle Damon's moving to Mobile, and I was like, oh, I know that. Yeah.
But he legit,
I was like
I called him. So one of the hardest nights ever was the night that Dad announced it.
Oh yeah.
I think it was like a Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
I think like somebody didn't do a good job of keeping their mouth shut, so we had to randomly do it on a Wednesday night. So it was like, it just felt like that was sad anyways, that it wasn't like the way we wanted it to happen. And then it was like, it just, obviously it's going to be hard either way.
So you guys were talking about the transition and your dad's announcement. And I'd love to kind of contrast a couple of things here, because for Ethan and the people that were close, when you guys heard that, you guys were pumped, right? Talk a little bit about that.
oh yeah. Yeah, when we heard it, we were like, wow, like we don't even know what to do with this, like kind of like blessing. Like it was honestly like a blessing for us. Like, I mean, I don't think there's another son that lives closer. Like we are like the closest son that actually lives like the church to church. And we were like, holy crap, like this is insane for us. We were all like, I remember my dad, after Pops like publicly announced it, we announced it that we were still doing Sunday services at that time. He was like, that Sunday, he was like, he opened up, and like as soon as my dad said it, like everyone just stood up and freaked out, like started clapping, was like, let's go. Oh my goodness. Like, what does this mean?
Elijah's coming.
Elijah's coming.
Elijah's moving.
And we were just like, wow, this is insane. And like for me, it felt like I was like, holy crap. Like I have a relationship with these people that are moving down here, and I'm going to get to like really tend to it and like get to grow it. Like I'm going to actually get to spend time with them. Cause like, I remember when y'all came down, you remember that picture that we have of me, you, and Braden. And
Right. It was, they were transitioning something when it was gates. I think it was maybe the rock to the gates of Zion. It was one of the transitions of the church before we took it over. And they were burning a bunch of like envelopes.
Yeah, I remember. Yep.
I think it's an anniversary, right?
No. Maybe it was an anniversary,
Because
but what they were doing is they were burning envelopes. And there was like, they were moving in from one name to another name. So they had a bunch of old envelopes and they were burning them. So I didn't know what was going on. But I just remember I ended up there, I ended up here, and he ended up here on the same night. And me, him, and Braden just kind of like hung out. And that was when it kind of led the relationship where it became.
How many years ago was that?
That was
2020.
2020. Yeah. 2019. Dude, like this was post Canapolis, but we actually were friends.
At that time,
yeah,
at that time, Landon and Judah were like really close, and it was a little bit right after it was like, when was the last campus end? The last campus end that was held in Ohio. I think so.
Summer?
Yeah, I think it was 2019.
Because 2020 was COVID.
Yeah.
So that means I met y'all in 16.
Yeah.
16, right? Because
Yeah,
14 was Gulfstream.
No, 2016, Landon didn't go to that one.
Okay.
Only I did. So 2017.
Okay.
I would say 2017 was the one that you and Landon really
Because we
clicked
weren't
and started.
old enough.
Yeah, y'all started. hanging out and
You
stuff
went
like
to a
that,
campus,
yeah.
but you didn't really get to do it. Like,
Yeah.
You were just like there
You weren't
hanging out,
cool.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they snuck me
No,
in.
you weren't cool. You weren't cool enough.
I was
Just
mad
kidding.
that I couldn't come for that thing down here with all y'all.
Yeah,
The
right.
coach decided to schedule
I don't think
two
Landon could
football
come
games in
either.
1 week. On a
No,
Monday and like a
Landon was
Friday,
in.
and it's like 2 football games in a week's crazy. I mean, I was playing both sides of the ball. I was like, "What are you doing, bro?"
I was on varsity though, so I came from. I had a Friday night game and drove.
Yeah.
Here, like halfway that night or something.
Yeah, and since we were just in Crestview, we were just like, okay, they have this really awesome thing going. And I had no idea what was really going on. That was my first time ever being at this church, and I was like, I don't really know what to expect. I was like, I had no idea they were going yet. We hadn't been texting too much yet. We were just like friends, like when we saw each other, and then sometimes on Xbox. And then like I get there, and it's like we're all like just out there playing football and having a great time, just clicking.
Balling.
Yeah, we're just balling.
Now, I'll share my personal experience, right? That transition was really tough.
Right. Yes,
I think, for the people that were there and thinking, man, South Carolina is the place we're going to be for the rest of our lives. And
Yeah.
so that first, that night when your dad announced was a shock. You know, I remember that at the end, people were there hanging out. I'm like, I want to go home. I went in the goodbye to your parents. And
it was a very, very difficult.
It was a difficult. I can't imagine for your dad and your mom.
Yes, sir.
You know, the expectations that people had, and you know, the commitment that was made, and even for you guys, you know, I'd love to hear a little bit about for you guys when you started thinking about leaving and seeing not just what you were feeling, but what your parents were going through.
Right.
You know, the relationships, there's so many parts to a decision like that. So how was that? How was for you guys navigate? I think after you guys came here, I think it was much easier, I imagine. But yeah, share. I won't, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely knew that there was something like bigger Abba was calling us to. Like there was something different that was coming anyways. And I mean, like I knew that it involved a transition, and I don't think it really set in until like the night, like the week that we were supposed to tell everybody. Because I mean, you see like dad having to go through all this, mom having to, and then all these people, like once we tell them, like, I mean, they're super sad, and that like the relationships is what was the worst, you know, like moving from state to state. I mean, that's fine. Like that doesn't affect me, but it's like these people that you're having to leave that you've like, I mean, you're family with, you're doing life with every day. And it's like, it's hard because you know that they're not coming with you, but you know, this is what God's calling you to. So, you know, it's going to get easier, and you know that there's a reason that this is happening, but it's still like, it tears you apart to like leave these people. But I mean, like as soon as we moved here, it was still kind of like, I mean, we're getting settled in. This is a new church. These people are reacting like, I mean, a new pastor's taking over this church. So it's kind of like
landscaping every day. This is hell. We're in hell.
So Ethan, so we had to redo our landscaping at our house, and Ethan, Landon, and Mr. Jason came and like did it with us. Well, they did it, and we were there.
You just guided them.
Yeah, me and Landon messed stuff.
They pretty much did nothing. Me, Judah, and
Zach.
It really did all the work. My dad just told us where to put things, but we were the whole day.
Hey, I learned. I just did like landscaping this week. I put like weed cloth down, mulched it,
and you had experience.
I knew exactly what I was doing, like a professional. But it was cool. Like, I mean, we lived with them for a whole week. You know, we were in Crestview some nights, we were in Mobile, and it was like that definitely helped because it was like there's people here who love us, and it's like the night we moved in, Braden came and stayed the night. So it was like you have people here that kind of helped once we actually got here.
Kept ourselves distracted.
Yeah,
definitely. But then it's like as time goes on, you're like
starts to settle.
The church was like at first it was like, I mean, it was amazing, but it was Sunday mornings, and it was like church here is just like no different than it was before. You know, like it's like there was a reason we're here, and I didn't understand. You know. And that was kind of hard. But then like as time goes on, like church explodes, and it's like now I look on it, I'm like, I would not be in the space I'm in if we didn't move here. And it's like, even though like it still like breaks my heart to know that I have family there, it's like, I mean, I'd still go see them. They come see us. So it's like, yeah, you don't do everyday life with them, but there was something bigger Yahweh was calling us to. And I completely understand that now, and I completely can see it. So that's my view on it.
How about you, Elijah?
Yeah, I would say like at first it was kind of like, why did we move here?
Mm-hmm.
Like I love Mobile. Like you like I said, the influential years being in the country was cool. Then I got to like I've had my license for a couple years, and I'm like, okay, I'm going kind of crazy. I've, driving the same trails every day. So when I got here, there was just like, I had them to distract me. I had Braden to distract me. I kept busy, and then it was like, you can only do that for so long till it's just like, okay. So now that I'm in my room by myself at night, I have to sort through all the things, and it's like, I miss Drake. I miss, their family.
Yeah.
Like obviously I missed a lot of people, but their family was hard.
Yeah.
And then it's like like Judah said at first, it was kind of like, church was great in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And when we moved here, I was still in the same heart posture I was in South Carolina. I was like, love Jesus, love church, but I mean, like, it's great to have encounters, but it's not like, it wasn't what I was focused on. And then, like Judah said, it's like, it feels like it was so painful in the moment, but it feels like such a little pain compared to the reward that we live in now. Like the song that I feel like there was a song, like I'm like, songs are big to me, lyrics. Like, I'm a songwriter and stuff. So like the song that like walked me through it was Thank You, the Maverick City song.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the line that was like, I'm standing in the promise, surrounded by the goodness. It was like before I was standing in the promise, because my parents were always like, they were so wanted to hear from us, but Dad was always like, there's a reason we're going.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know it yet, but we'll understand it when we're there. And it's before I was even in the promise, felt like I was standing in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it felt it was physical. It's like I'm standing in this church and there's a promise. I'm not there yet spiritually, still not fully there spiritually, I'm a lot further along than I was, but I'm like, I'm standing on the promise. Where I'm at right now is the promise, and I'm going to get there. And it's cool to look back on and be like, I thought that was hard. But compared to what I'm in now, it's like, I just said with the anxiety stuff, I do it 10,000 times to be where I'm at now, and to be able to be in a position now where it's like the fruit of our lives, we get to help people.
Yeah.
We have so many, like it's grown. So there's so many more people in it that we get to walk through every day. So one of my favorite things ever is actually being able to have fruit, to not just know it, but to have the fruit in my life where I can be like, one of my good friends he's just now like figuring things out. And I'm like, getting to talk to him about it is so refreshing and feels so like standing in the promise.
Yeah.
Like I'm here, I'm happy, and he sees the fruit on my life now. That it's just like it just makes it feel so like obviously y'all, people that we were just like thought we were setting ourselves up to be with for the rest of our lives. Obviously we were right about y'all, but it was like leaving the Amick family.
Yeah.
It was like, man, this is my best friends. These have been my best friends since I was 4. Like I lived like a 4-wheeler ride down the road from their house. When Dad was sick, I lived with them. Like every time I needed something, I went over there. It was like, that was like being at home 2.0, so it was like leaving that almost felt kind of like, why did the Lord set me up for this? Like that was, another one of the things getting like, you got to Mobile and you're like, I'm standing in the promise, but it's confusing.
Yeah.
Why was I so close with that family? I look at it now, Drake's here. He's playing baseball in South Alabama. That's why. Yeah. Because now I'm setting myself up to spend the rest of my life doing this with him. So it was like confusing at first, but I guess like the way to sum it up is it was such little pain for the.
Yeah. It's saying a yes without really knowing what's coming.
Yes, sir.
But it's trusting that.
Yeah.
Learning that he's good in whatever's going to come out of this, he's going to come through. Right?
We heard the.
And I think for people that have been through, you guys are still very young and you're still going to go through different things. But for people that are older and have gone through things with God, it's important for us to look back and say, God has been faithful so many times. It's not going to be different this time.
Yeah.
And for me, it was the same thing. Saying yes to come here was very, very difficult. Very difficult. But it was the same thing. That song, it's funny you mentioned that song, because there's a few times in the service here that we sang that song. And when we get to that phrase, standing in the promise, Holy Spirit's like, you are standing in those dreams that you had your whole life.
I really feel like that song is like so significant, like perfectly significant for everything that was going on.
Yeah.
Like for me personally, inside of all of it, like that whole year of like growing relationships with them and being in Chattanooga and being in all these places, like I remember when we first got to Crestview and like being a part of the youth there, and we were going to Campus Inn to do all the things. Like I was like that youth's my family. Like I was like super knit close with them, and I'm like it never like really thought about. The thought was never in my mind like, okay, they're just in youth, and then when they're out of youth, you know what's gonna happen. Like that was never the thought. It was like I was always gonna be with them forever. And so I remember being in those times, and then Campus Inn ended. And then almost like every single one of the people that I grew up in the youth at that church with, they all, as soon as they graduated youth, it was like, I don't know any of them anymore. Like straight up just gone. And I was like thinking like, okay, so now me and Landon are up there in Crestview for almost a year and a half. And it's like me and him were like almost the only youth there of age. And we're just like, me and him were just like yearning for that type of relationship, because we've had those people that we grew up with and wept in the spirit with at Campus Inn and done these things, and then we're growing extremely close to them, and we're like, those are our family, those are our people, but like we don't have that here. And like we felt like there was definitely something missing inside of that. And so like I felt like it was like almost the same feeling, but almost completely flopped. So like for the same thing that Elijah experienced, he was like, he got here and wondered why, and then realized he's standing in the promise. And then for me, before they moved here and everything like that, I was wondering why and how and what's going on. Like, where am I going to find this and how's it going to work out? And then they got there and I was immediately like, holy crap. Like,
This is
like,
why.
this is why. Like, this is the thing that is meant to be. That's like, I was like waiting for, like, holy crap. Like, it blew my mind. It almost felt like they moved here specifically for me. Like personally, I felt like
sometimes it does.
Yeah, and like I personally felt like, holy crap! Like I feel like they moved here for me, because like I can't, like I've tried to explain to them how much they mean to me and how much they've changed my lives, and there's just no way of doing that. Like if they didn't move here, I wouldn't be who I am right now whatsoever. Like not in any shape or form. Like I didn't have this type of relationship back at home. Like, and that's, that's the uniqueness and there's definite, it's 100% necessary having people your age chasing after the same thing that you are.
Yeah.
Because you ping off each other and you go deeper. And like, if one is falling short, the other one's there to be like, all right, come on, let's do this. Don't forget the vision. Don't forget who you are. Don't do and we're all always there for each other. And I had that and had a sense of that. Like we were really close when like the youth back in Crespi, when we were going to Campus Inn, and it was just kind of like, I kind of realized like once they all just graduated, because I was younger than all of them. Like I was the youngest one in the youth group when we went to the first Campus Inn. I was in 6th grade, barely made it in. And then every single one of them were like 17 to 18. So it was like I was the youngest one, and I always went with my cousin Michael, and then Michael ended up moving too. And it's like, so some of them like, especially after Chris and Nikki left and all that, like a lot of them kind of just was like iffy and just kind of weird about it. And then the whole like Darius McDonald situation that happened, like the youth just kind of like exploded and went everywhere. Like I don't even know where half of them are anymore. And so it's just like, and then what's funny, actually, in that youth group, that in that time of all of us going to Campus End, Aaron Brackens was in it. So like I grew up with Aaron Brackens in that youth group and all of us together and doing these things. And it's just crazy how it's all like kind of come full circle, like with all of that. And then it's just, with them.
It was so set up.
Yeah, it really was.
Like, it was like we all have memories the same night that Judah and Landon are having their encounter. It's like me and Ethan have our first time encountering each other. But like if you were looking at it from a camera on top of the building, it was like Judah and Landon are having their encounter right here. Me and Ethan are hanging out right here, and Aaron Brackens is standing right there, right in front of us. Like it was like this whole like, it was such a freaking setup. Like trying to avoid it is literally impossible.
So much. We got to run it back.
Yeah, that place.
Now, one thing that I really love watching is, every time we get, especially reunion weekends, where we have every church and the family coming. Like when I see the youth together, it's almost like it's one whole family.
It feels like no church has a youth group. It feels like there's like a 400 person youth group, which is weird because like we do youth in chapel at school, but it's like it feels like it's almost just we all get together on reunions, or we do probably like 4 youth camps a year. It's like whenever we have one of those, that's when it feels like a youth service. That feels like what every Wednesday night, like we want to feel like almost, it feels like everybody shows up. It feels like we're just one big youth group.
Yeah. And like inside of it all, like just finding and, like this relationship that we have, like whenever I finally realized like, holy crap, like, cause it took me a little bit where I was like, they moved here and we were just clicking and just having fun and like in the fun of it all. And then like the services hit. So like, it was like, we were just building this relationship and it was all about each other and having fun and just like, getting everything settled and everything. And then like, we had absolutely no idea what else was in store. Like inside
we thought it was just a friendship.
Like, okay, this is really fun and awesome. What's going on? And then out of nowhere, it was like, God just dropped a grenade in it all. And it like, I was like, it was another one of those moments where it was like, I didn't think it could get better.
Yeah. And there's one thing about, of course, building friendships is really fun. But when you do that in the presence of God, there's just a depthness into that relationship.
It's tethered. Yep. You get tethered.
Exactly. See, he's teeing us up. Now, I just would like to talk about one thing before we talk about the business, which was, Ethan, you mentioned your family is all about missions and you have the heart. So you guys start this ministry in Africa. I'd love to hear how that started.
Okay.
And then I'd love to hear you guys' experience. I know you guys went there last year.
Yep.
And love to hear, what did you learn about going to a place that's completely different than here, right?
Yeah.
It changed your perspective. It changed how you see life, people, and so love to hear.
Yeah. So I'm not completely sure how Upholstery heard about us or came across us, but I remember she always had these people that she was always connected with and really close to. And then they actually came to our church when we were still in Destin, before we even were a part of the Crestview and before they moved. So she came to one of our services and was there and got really connected with us. And it was like the relationship was just amazing. I mean, she barely spoke any English, but the relationship was there. And so
that's Africa in a nutshell.
Yeah. So that really is
it's going to banana in a nutshell.
I understand that very well.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand that very well.
It's a lot of smiles and a lot of nods.
Man, you'll become an actor. I'm telling you. My first job in America, I worked at a Dunkin' Donuts. And I spoke no English. Nothing.
Yeah.
Right? And then at Dunkin' Donuts, they, like a lot of old people retired, but they'll come every morning. They stay there for a while. So I had this lady old lady that she kind of liked me. So every morning she wanted to have a conversation with me.
Right.
But I had no idea what she's talking about.
Yeah.
So she's like telling all the stories. I'm like, yes, nice. And I don't know if she's like that, her husband died. I'm like, oh, congratulations.
He's got 4 words.
Really?
He's got 4 words. My lesson, whenever I went to the DR when I was like 12, I had this little girl come up to me and she was like, and apparently, because the kid that was with me that speaks English and Spanish, he was like, he didn't tell me in this moment. He kind of just was like backed off and like, I think he was a part of the joke. But this girl came up to me and she asked me to marry her. And I was like 12 and I don't remember how she was, and I was like, I had no idea what she was saying, but I just said C. And he was like, dude, you can't say that. You can't just say yes. Like, I definitely learned my lesson inside of all that. It did. He got his necklace stolen.
I feel like they used it against me. They knew that I didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
It's this lady, our driver, her name was Rizzlers, and she looked at me and she was like, telling me she loved my necklace and that she wanted my necklace and asked if she could have my necklace. And I didn't know what she was saying. So I was like,
And she just like, okay.
And then I'm just like,
takes it off. And he's like looking back at us like, she's taking my necklace. She doesn't understand. He's
Like, yeah, because she can't understand me
Yeah.
10 times more than I can understand her. So, like, she's doing this. She's like taking my necklace. I'm like, she's taking my necklace right now. Help, stop, no, take it.
And
No.
we're all just dying laughing, like letting it happen. We're like, we don't care. But
Did you get it?
She took it, dude.
Yeah,
I went there with 2 bracelets and 2
she's
chains
still
and
wearing
came
it.
back with no
Oh
jewelry.
yeah.
Yep. But then she reached out and she was like, yeah, I'd love for y'all to come, and everything. She was like, I really feel a very special connection with y'all, and I want y'all to be my covering. Like off the bat, like right off the bat, she was just like, I want y'all to be my covering for her.
And she's a lady from Benin.
Yes. So Paul Cherie, she's the mother of about, I don't know, I would say now about 600 kids, but currently in the orphanage, probably about 250, 270 that are currently in the orphanage. But she's had kids. She's been doing it for like a long time. So she's had kids from like birth already graduate and go through. So she says that my parents are like, okay, yes, that's awesome. But I mean, before we say yes to this, we want to come. We want to make sure that this is right. This is a good relationship. We want to see what's going on. So we want to actually come. And so my mom, my dad, Samuel and Kelly, they 4 went, and it was an insane trip. It was amazing. The relationship was just there. It was amazing. And they had a really good time there. And they actually, like while they were there, my dad, the Lord told my dad, like, okay, yep, this is it. This is part of why we have y'all where y'all are and what you're doing and stuff like that. Like, just because you took the pastoral position didn't mean I was taking the nations from you.
Wow.
And so, and it was funny because a little bit before Paul Cherie met my parents at that church service in Destin, we actually went to Brazil. So we were in Brazil, and one of the apostolic ladies in that church there gave my dad a prophetic word, and she literally said this to him. And I remember being super little up there in Brazil and just like having a great time, and just like I thought it was amazing because of how much I love soccer. Like I was playing soccer all day, every day with them on courts I never thought I'd play on. I mean, I love Brazil. It's so beautiful. I want to go back so bad. And we're in this church service, and it's like probably one of the, it was, I would say at the time of my life there, it was the most intense church service I've ever been in. Like people were literally slithering on the floor, like demons were being casted out left and right. I mean, it was insane. And then like the holiness just sat in, and like, it was like, just like, peace be still immediately. Like it was crazy. And then like everything was like simmering. Rick Pino was there, and he was just playing. And then she gets up on the mic. She goes to tell my dad a prophetic word. And one of the only things she said that I can remember is, "Ask, and I'll give the nations to you." And so my dad got super wrecked by this, and he was like praying about Africa for a while after that. It was just in his heart. And then she comes along, and then this happens, and the relationship is beautiful and it's perfect. And then we're just like, the inside of the first 2 trips that were there, like we plant more than 8 churches from those families, and every single one of those churches are each one of those churches are all pastored by 2 or 3 of them. Like it's not like each one has their own. Like they all do it as a group, and they're all the sons of her that have grown up in the orphanage.
Wow.
So they're all together. Like it's not like a U.S. youth group. Like they are actually family. Like they grow up in it. And as soon as they grow up and graduate the orphanage, they're like, okay, what can I do financially to help the orphanage? What can I do here? Like most of them become teachers at the orphanage, or become like repairman there, or like do this, or become pastors.
Or
like
go off to
Sean
college
Green.
and then come back.
Yeah,
Or go off to college to learn a skill
and then come back
to benefit the
Yeah.
orphanage.
Wow.
And so a lot of them become pastors, and then they're like, it's like a group of like, I think it's like 8 of them now that are like actual legitimate sons of her that just grew up, and now they're just running all these churches. Some of them do have actual planted churches there that are the lead pastor there, because that's like their, like some of them like feel like called to a certain spot because that's where they were born. And so like they'll be planted there, and that will be their spot. But like in a majority, they all rotate and just go around, and like it's really beautiful what's going on there with that. And so that's really how we got connected with her.
Wow. And you guys went there last year.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that right? So what was that experience like, Judah? What was that for you, man?
It was so sick. That was my first time like going out of the like country for like nation since I've like been older to like understand everything. I mean, I couldn't have picked like a better group of people to go with. Like honestly, like Ethan Landon, Mr. Jason, Miss Misty. Like, it was like the perfect group. Mom and dad went. We convinced mom to go. She didn't want to go first, but now she like fell in love with it and like wants to go back like right now. But it gives you like a whole different like perspective on life. Like they live like I don't understand how they live, you know, but they carry like a measure of joy that's like, I mean, they're excited to meet everyone. They're excited to go to the face of God and like worship. And they live their life with so much joy that it's like if they lived the life that we lived in right now, like it'd be like us living like as Elon Musk or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, they are like, they are filled with so much joy with having so little, you know? And it makes you look at your life and be like, you need to appreciate the things that you have, and you need to it makes you want to help them and be like, there's more to life. Like, you're living with this joy and just wait. There's so much more. And that was my first time like actually preaching. We all preached in Africa, and that was pretty fun. It's a day like I'll never forget, honestly. Like, me and Landon spoke, and the fire fell down. It was amazing, yeah. And just like getting to meet everybody, like they're so excited to meet you, and I can't wait to go back. I mean, I made like family for life down there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Elijah, what about you, man?
Yeah, I mean, it was just amazing. You know, people always say something like that'll change your life, but you don't really understand it till you actually go do it. And like Judah said, that's my family now. Keep in touch with a lot of the guys there still, and just help them and encourage them. And it was just amazing. You know, for me, like that day that they spoke and getting to speak there was obviously amazing, but that was the least impactful part for me. Just like getting to love on people and getting to let them love on me while it looks like I'm loving on them. It's just like, it just wrecked me. Just every hug wrecks you. You know, like, it just is so, I don't know, it's contagious. Being there, you can't be upset while you're there, because you just feel like, it didn't feel like we were going there to do any work. It didn't feel like we were going there to like give them something that we have that they don't have.
Yeah.
We were able to do that, like spiritually and, you know, monetarily. We were able to help them. But like, I don't know, it just felt like there was an exchange, there was a mutual exchange that was like just so like unexplainable. Like, I'm changed, and I can't wait to go back again in August.
Awesome. Ethan, we just might need to have them practice soccer a little bit before they go next time, right?
Hey,
Judah got assist.
Apparently an assist is good. Like, you don't score a lot of points in soccer. I did have an assist my first time ever playing like organized soccer.
And that was in Africa.
I mean, I would say they're pretty good at soccer, huh?
They're good.
They're in a whole lot more shape than I am. So
they're just rough. They play barefoot and they kick each other, and
they were wearing cleats, and I'm over here wearing like beat up Converses. I can't even hardly run in.
My first time going, it was during the youth camp that we do there. We do a youth camp there every time in August. So last time we went, when did y'all went for the youth camp that time too? Yeah. But the time that I went, the first youth camp, it was held at a different building and stuff like that. But we actually held like a legitimate 2-day tournament of soccer. So they were like, so it was me and my really close brother, Isaac, and then like 2 others that are from the actual. So the youth camp is a bunch of random churches. It's not just the ones that, you know, like we oversee and Poultry oversees. Like, she invites a bunch that she knows. So it's a bunch of random kids as well. So like on my team, it was me, Isaac, and a few other kids from the Hope Gate. And I remember playing soccer, and I'm like, heck yeah, I'm going to play barefoot. And I'm like, this is going to be awesome. And then like, the second day that I'm like walking out there to play the next matches, I'm like looking at my toe, and I've got a blister on the bottom of my toe the size of a quarter. Both of my big toes had blisters the size of quarters, and I'm like, I can't do this. Like, holy crap, this is the most painful thing ever. So the next time we came back, I brought my cleats, and I was like, yeah, sorry guys, I'm wearing boots. I can't do this.
That's awesome. I think seeing that level of, poverty and people just carrying so much joy that can really change your life, because we live in such a privileged place, and and I think having that perspective is important. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see you guys have that experience.
Yeah, it's so interesting for me because like I've been to the places in Canada, in Brazil, in the Dominican Republic, in Mexico. Like I've been to all these places and I've seen poverty like all over the place. Like even in New Orleans, like I've seen the stuff that like you like people are like, oh, we need to give into that. We need to do this. We need to see what we can help, like, and it's like all these missions based, all these things that are going on. And it's just like, you get to Africa and it's like, I'm here hanging out with family, having a great time. We're having blowout services and we're just enjoying ourselves all day. Like I remember going to Mexico and it's like work, church service, do this, do that. And then like Dominican Republic, same thing. Like we're doing like, and all that's amazing. Like, don't get me wrong. Like that's the things that are necessary too, to grow all that. But it's like Africa has it's so different. Like it really is. Like from my point of view of seeing all these different places and meeting all the different people from all the different nations, it's like for them, like for me, whenever I was seeing all of it in the Dominican Republic and like Mexico, I'd say those two are more like in the poverty part of like seeing the people and how they act. It's definitely more of them, like you see them and they really do look miserable. Like that stuff is real and like they do look like that. But like you go to Africa and it's like completely different. It's completely flipped. And it's crazy how people see Africa as the continent of darkness. That it's like literally seen as like the I think Benin, because it's the birthplace of voodoo, literally. And then there's a lot of other things going on, but like Africa in a whole is seen as a continent of darkness, and it's like completely backwards of what we see and what we understand when we get there. Like even like going there without there's no religious mindset in it at all. Like if I just went there not knowing anything that I was, and I was just seeing people, meeting people and talking to people and just being around them, the understanding of who they are and just the joy that you get and you see, it's like, it's overwhelming almost. It's like, holy crap. Like they are genuinely so happy and bright and loving and amazing and honoring. Like they honor so freaking well there. It's unbelievable. Like, I mean, we can try. Like, I remember going there and like giving Isaac, my first time going there, I gave Isaac like $200. And I'm like, Isaac, I know you have school expenses, you have all these things, you need to pay for things. And I'm like, you don't even have sandals on your feet. Let's go buy you a pair of sandals that cost $1 of my money. That'll probably take you a month to get that much. Like for them in Africa, it's like the small necessities here is like deodorant. Like,
why would they spend money on deodorant?
Like they could use that to go buy a pineapple for dinner. It's like there's just a whole different mindset of it, and it's like I gave Isaac like $200, and he ended up splitting it with all four of his siblings. And I just I never thought about like doing that or saying anything about that. That was just naturally who he was. That's just who he is, and that's just what he did.
That reminds me, I might butcher the story, but I've heard a story one time where this pastor went to Africa, and he came to the pastor there and say, "Hey, what can we pray about? Like, how can we pray for you guys? What you guys need?" And it's like, we are not the ones that need prayer. You are the ones that we need to pray for, because you have everything and you have no joy. You don't really,
no, absolutely,
yeah.
And it's almost like you sharing that story where you go there and the people that come changed are you guys.
Yeah.
Right. The people that experience that are the ones that get changed, and it's amazing. Now let's transition a little bit, because you guys, one of the reasons that we wanted to do this is because you guys are starting a business, and I love to talk about business. So why don't you guys tell us how that idea came about and what are you guys doing, and then how people can actually connect with you guys about business?
So me and Ethan are the owners of Tethered Clothing. I mean, it's been like on my heart for a long time that like I wanted to like have like some sort of clothing line or something. Like I mean, I love like outfits. Like for me, an outfit's like, it's like a work of art. You know what I'm saying? Like like outfits can express so much. And so I mean, I brought it to Ethan whenever I was like, I actually like want to do this, because I mean, Ethan's like the brains behind everything, you know, like Ethan knows how to work websites. Ethan knows how to do photography. Ethan knows how to, I mean, he's been teaching me like everything. Like the only thing I knew before any of this was, this is what I want my shirt to look like. You know, I was like, even trying to like explain that to Ethan was like, dude, this is, I want it to look like this shirt and this shirt put together with this shirt in it. You know, like, it's like, this is like my inspiration and this is my idea, but like, I just want it to get out to people, you know, like our big, thing is inspired to be confident. Like it's like Tethered Clothing is not just a brand. It's a community. We inspire people to be confident and experience themselves and like express themselves in a way that they can put something on and feel better about themselves. Yeah. Like I feel like something in our world that just like, it just tears people down to see like someone might have this and I don't have this. You know what I'm saying? Like someone's wearing this and this is the cool thing, but my family can't afford this, so this is what I'm wearing. It's like, no, like you need to build your inspiration off of what you want, like what your idea is. Like I wear stuff that no one else would ever wear. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll put an outfit on and I'll be like, people are going to look at me like I'm dumb, but like, this is what I like, you know, like I like to put something crazy on that's different that someone will look at and be like, okay, like, no, I've never seen anybody wear that. So maybe it's fine if I wear this. So we want to just like create something that people can like go to and like experience themselves and express their confidence, that like people need to find more confidence in themselves. Mm-hmm. You know, like it's like bad, like you'll be walking down the road and someone will have their head down just because of what they're wearing. It's like, dude, like you can put something together with this and let's just like be you, you know, like some people don't care about the way they dress and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, be you, express what you like. And like, for me, it's clothing. So it's like, that's what I want to do. Yeah. And it's been super fun.
I was like, for me, about 3 years ago, I started a hat company, and it was just called 850 Hat Co. And I was like, this is so much fun. Like I was like working all that stuff out. I was trying to build a website and everything. This is kind of before like I was knowledgeable and all that. And I was just like having fun with it. Like, and so I started this hat company. I made just a little design and it was like the Florida flag, but inside of the middle, instead of it being like the Florida flag, it just said 850 Hat Co with a wave. And I was like, holy crap, this is so much fun. Like I love doing this. And I made like $600 or $800 in like 2 months. And then like I went nowhere with it after that. I was like, I kind of just was like, this is what I want to do, but I don't think I was in the right spot. So I've always wanted to do something along those lines. Like I just, you know, I loved it and I thought it was really fun. And it was crazy because when Judah came to me and he was like, hey man, will you help me? And will you teach me like how to use like Photoshop, how to make designs, how to do things? And like, what would I need to do like to start a clothing brand and stuff like that? And I don't even think he knew if I knew how to do most of that stuff at the time. He just knew that I was really into like graphic design and like photography and stuff. And I was like, yeah, bro, of course. And I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm like thinking like, holy crap, like I've been at home like thinking about names for something that I want to work on. Like like in my notes, like I had Untethered in my notes. I had a few other names I can't remember. And then like I came to Judah and I'm like talking to him about it. And we like have our first meeting about it and we're just running over stuff. And I'm like, so like, what name are you thinking? And he's like, I have like Nocturnal. I have these other things. And what was the other one? Eternal, Nocturnal, and
Timeless.
Yeah, Timeless.
And then I had Tethered.
And then he had Tethered. And then I went home and like we were messing with the designs and we messed with Untethered first. So we messed with Untethered and we're messing with this design and everything. And then like I come back to him and I'm like, what about like
the name was just like it wasn't sticking for either one of us. Like that was the hardest part of the whole.
He never mentioned Tethered to me, and I never mentioned Tethered to him. But we both kind of had it in our notes, like that we kind of liked it because we were messing around with Untethered and then Nocturnal and all these other ones. And then we came back and we were like, what about Tethered? Like
the Nocturnal designs were fire.
They were.
There was a whole Nocturnal line that like should drop one day.
We'll drop
Nocturnal.
Nocturnal was
the Angel and a Night.
The night there was like a night. Like, hey, y'all, listen. Nocturnal was hard.
But And then we were like, I can't remember. We were actually in Texas. When we were in Texas for Elijah's like senior trip and stuff like that, me and him sat down in the hotel and we're like, let's work on designs. Let's really get the ball rolling.
We made this T-shirt right then and there.
We made
in about like 10 minutes.
this T-shirt right then and there.
It
Show the
clicked, just
T-shirt,
something clicked.
Judah.
Yeah.
Like,
we
can
were
I
like,
stand up or what?
A little bit. You can see it
All
there.
right. See myself.
It's nice.
you're good.
All right, this is the front. It says inspired and confident.
Squat down a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. These are awesome.
Yeah. And then I was like, or he was like, what about tethered? And we both looked at each other and we were like, you had that in your notes too? You were feeling that too? We were like, bet. So we both ran it up and we just started messing with the design and like we threw it on there and we're like, turn the E's backwards, do this, do that. Let's just mess with all the stuff. And we just,
It's so much fun.
yeah, it really is like just the creativity of it all. Like it's a blast. Like it's honestly more fun than anything. Like forget about like the sales, the money, all of that
Yeah.
involved. Like
That's what I was
we're
about to say. The
enjoying
money is like
yeah.
the last thing on my mind.
Yeah, like exactly.
we
Like,
don't sell out every drop. We don't sell out.
yeah, we don't give
like,
a crap. And me
it's
and him
fine.
already like we looked at each other and we're like, we don't want to take a single profit or a single dime out of the company for like at least a year. Like probably more. Like we really don't care. We're just having a blast, having fun, and then there's a vision involved in it all. So it's like we're doing it for a purpose and we're doing it because we love it. So it's like why squeeze that lemon when you don't have to?
Yeah. Yeah. And what's the big dream for this? Where do you think you want to take this, Judah?
I definitely want to like take it to like, I mean, with fashion, it's like sneakers. It's like, I mean, I love sneakers. That was like, for a long time, sneakers was like my thing. Like, I would have random people come up to me and be like, dude, like, how did you get those? You know, like, just like, I love sneakers. I love selling sneakers, flipping sneakers. I love the whole like world. Like, the sneaker culture is like, it's just something that like nothing else is like it. You know, it's like you connect with people so much just by the sneakers you're wearing. But like, I feel like clothing's kind of starting to come on the, like, starting to go up. So it's like we're catching as it's going up. But like, to get like our shirts in like some of these sneaker stores where like, that got me started into like fashion and like clothing. Like, if I could get my shirts into like some of these sneaker stores where it was like, this is where I went every weekend and I sold and I bought, I like traded, you know, that would be like super sick. But
I feel like the push is like pushing towards kind of like a gallery department but like that level of like where the company, where we want it to be. Obviously it'd be great if the Lord wants to take it further and deeper, and obviously there's going to be different alleys and different things that we're going to do, but like I feel like that's kind of like, because that's what you're saying, like being in like shoe stores, being in like in places like that. And
like we look at it where it's like, I mean, we're Christians, you know, our life is God.
Yeah.
But it's like our brand is not so much where it's like in your face, like we're going to put Yahweh on the back of our shirts and we're going to sell them, you know?
Yeah.
It's like the hearts behind the shirts are like, our brand is nothing without Abba. Like, it's nothing. And so it's like we put everything towards him to like, okay, this drop, like this week, it's been a lot going on. You know, it's been chaos.
yeah,
We've had like a lot of like late night FaceTimes and like prints, and it's a lot, but it's like, this would be nothing without you. So there should be no stress involved, you know? So it's like, let's take some steps back and let's redo it. So it's like these brands like Essentials, Gallery Department, like they're doing all this without like having like God behind their thing, which I think Essentials is like kind of like Christian or whatever. But it's like, how far can we take this? It's not even us. It's Abba behind our brand. So how far can he take it?
We're set up.
Yeah.
We can't fail.
Yeah, well, you guys said a few things that I think are very important. One is the money is not the focus.
Yeah.
And that's the best way to start something. Because usually if you just start something, you think about how much money you can make, it ends up that you actually lose the passion for that thing.
Right.
You know, I think the way you guys are passionate about this, you're passionate about this no matter what. And usually what happens is you focus in building that, and then money is just going to be a consequence. So it's a great way to start. I think also the thing you mentioned about the heart behind. It's not like that everything needs to have God written all over. You know what I mean? It's about building the business with peace, with joy, having fun, building relationship, and people can then see that. It becomes a reflection of that brand.
Yeah.
And it's another great insight that you guys have about this, you know. And I think I'm pretty sure, you know, in this environment we live in, long term, we're always thinking long term. You know, nothing needs to happen overnight.
Yep.
So I'm excited, man, to see what's gonna come out. So I know you guys have a launch, so you want to talk about that and then share how people can actually find information and if they want to start buying your stuff.
I don't know when this is going to come out, so it might be after the first drop or whatever. But Ethan texted me, like, we were trying to figure out dates for the first drop. We were like, we can get the t-shirts and by this time we can get them printed. We can, I mean, it's a lot that goes on, especially like in your first drop. It's like, what all is there to do?
Yeah, we were trying to make it super special too because it's limited and everything. So we're like also working those.
You're overthinking everything. So it's like, he was like, what do you think about this date? And he was like, April 10th, 2024. And that's my birthday. So I was like, that would be.
And I forgot it was his birthday.
I was like, I mean, I'm not good.
That's perfect.
Man, Ethan. So see, he started talking about Brazil, trying to make me happy, you know, talking how much he loves about Brazil. Now he does everything around your birthday. So he's really like a
he's trying to get us
nice guy, you know.
But yeah, so we were like, that's perfect, you know, like you can come down, we can spend some time together. And so he's down for the week. We're getting everything sorted. It's been a lot, but it's been fun. You know, we're sitting there at like 10:30, 11 o'clock last night. And we're like trying to get everything figured out. Like our brains are fried. We're trying to do the math. We're like, we can print this many shirts today. We have to do this many tomorrow. We have this. We have scheduled for the next day. It's like
have all the pre-orders.
Yeah, we did like pre-orders, so it's like we have to get all those. We have to get them packaged up. We're like, we have to do this tonight, and it's like you get up there and you're like, okay, and then we need these videos to come out that we've been needing to do, and it's like,
So it's inside of it all. There's peace, and it's so much fun.
It's
even
so
in the moments where we're standing there just looking at each other like
I'm excited to get back in the house and start doing it again.
All the larges are mediums, and all the mediums are larges, and all the extra larges are
we had some complications, and I was literally like about to lose my cool. Like
slamming doors.
All the larges, I thought all the larges got messed up,
but they were just fine.
Like half of them got messed up, and I was like losing my cool because Ethan wasn't here, and I was like, dude, I have to get these printed. Like we have to get them out. We have to get pictures of them. And it was like all this, but it's so much fun once you like that makes you like sit back in bed at night and you're like, okay, like this is not us doing this. This is not us throwing stuff around the room, you know, like this is not where we need to be. So we need to take a step back. And if it's getting to this point, then we're not where we need to be. You know what I'm saying? So you got to step back. So we have tetheredclothing.com, tethered__ clothing on Instagram. We have TikTok. It's
just Tethered Clothing.
Yeah, Tethered Clothing. And I mean, we're just getting started, you know. We have a bunch of little sponsorships coming up. We can't really talk about, but it's pretty cool to like
ambassadors.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to like get to like talk to these people.
Shiesties.
It's pretty cool to get to like talk to these people and they'd be like, yeah, I think your stuff's dope. You know, like I would rock this, and you're like, well, if you're rocking this, then let's just get it out there. So
there's no way better than learn something than actually taking massive action, which is what you guys are doing, you know. And I can say it for myself. I have tried to start things, and sometimes I really don't take enough, like the right amount of action that you need to take. So you guys just actually doing it, you know. The idea wasn't long ago, and then you guys already have printed the shirts. You have to have the website, have everything going, have the launch coming, which is April 10th, right?
Yes, sir. And then we're gonna try to get it out like the end of April, but like May, like beginning of May, we have three shirts dropping. It's the first one like anyone's ever seen. Little teaser.
That's all you get.
Yeah. So we got 3 more shirts dropping.
Those
we're trying to get those out as quick as possible because we're like, I mean, we know not everybody can afford a $90 t-shirt. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's like, I look at it and it's like, I mean,
And they're
I'll spend
limited, so
like $90 on the t-shirts. Like, that's nothing in the market now. You know what I'm saying? For like a designer t-shirt, like you're going to spend like $200. You know, that's like baseline price. But it's like,
that's how we wanted our standard to be. That's where we want to be at.
Look at it, and it's like we have 35 shirts on this limited drop, and it's like you're never like this shirt you'll never get again. Like the gold lettering, it's numbered, it's limited on the tag. Like you'll never get this shirt again. So it's like we have to upcharge it a little bit, and it's our first drop, and you know, it's like the people that don't understand that, that's okay. You know, there's a certain people that we're trying to hit, and it's like we understand that not everybody can pay $90. So that's what we're kind of like. We'll drop 3 shirts at one time, and we'll make them a little cheaper, and it will be like these are still the limited ones. So there's a reason these are expensive. And I've had people come up to me, they're like $90 is like I'm never gonna get this shirt again. There's 35 people walking around on the earth with this shirt right now. They're like, we're gonna try to get it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I believe that it's gonna be like going quick. You know, like they're gonna be
like the vision that we were thinking of when we dropped our first releases is like over time, like say later on, and we're as big as gallery department, those shirts that this person buys right now for $90 could possibly be like 500. Because like if our market grows and we get bigger, and that's the most limited shirt we ever dropped, like you're gonna be like, holy crap, I have this shirt. Like, you know, like what's going on here? Because like I don't know too many other companies that did that at the start of their thing, and we were just like, we want to make it super super special because we're not that big, and really the only people that are gonna hear about this are the people that are around us. We want to give them the opportunity to have that, and also pour into us to help us get on our feet with the company, like, you know. And so I think that's where we're at with that. And then we're like, you know, we want to immediately, like, as soon as we drop this, we want to get the ball rolling on releasing more shirts so everyone can just grab them a shirt. And
remember one of the first nights y'all were like talking about the drop, y'all are like designing in the living room. Ethan said something. He was like, I want to like get to the point where like you're walking like somebody's walking through the mall and somebody walks past them in a shirt and they're like, oh, that's Tethered, that's Judah Thompson. Like I remember that was like their goal immediately. They were never like wanting to start a clothing brand. And like, that's what I was telling somebody the other night. Somebody said the same thing to me, like, that's so expensive. I was like, yeah, but like, you know, when Gucci didn't start as like a brand that was going to be $30, you can't, like, if you set your expectations low, you're going to, you know, you'll meet them. So that's why I always was like proud of that with them. Like they were willing to take a couple jabs from people that thought that was crazy, but those are people that don't understand fashion. Like,
it's so unique too, because like when me and Judah merged in it, like we have somewhat to an extent, like at times the same style when it comes to like just what, like how we dress. Like I'm more of like a urban, like surfer area. Like if I'm not, like he'll wear gym shorts before I wear them ever. Like I'll wear my board shorts that I skimboard and surf in. Like there's like almost like 2 completely different styles, but then there's at the time where like we meet in the middle where it's kind of like there's this urban vibe that's kind of like, I would say the urban street wears where we are fitting in the pocket, as well as like kind of like gym wear as well. But like, especially with this shirt that's going to come out, it's going to kind of feature more of like the things that like I would 100% wear. Like I'd wear this shirt all the time. Like, you know what I mean? Like I love that shirt. We designed that to kind of fit in the pocket of like all of that realm. But like we're going to have such a like a broad, that's why it's like inspired to be confident, inspired to be yourself. And, you know, and
we're hitting all the targets. Like you can even tell on like the next shirts, like, we all, like, me and Ethan designed together and we approved of what, and we put our ideas and everything. But it's like this is what Ethan's going to toss on whenever he goes to the beach to surf. Okay. And then this is what I'm going to toss on whenever I'm going, like, I don't know,
to the gym,
whatever I would go do with my wife. Whenever I go like shopping or something, like this is what I would toss on. And it's like these 2 different things, but I would 1,000% wear that shirt. You know what I'm saying? Like that is a dope shirt. And like even the shirts that I make, Ethan's like, I would wear that.
Yeah.
You know, like I wouldn't like design that, but that's
we're hitting such a real, like it's so,
we're hitting
like,
everybody, because it's like like, what is this dude gonna do if this is his style? But like our thing's like inspired to be confident, so it's like he can't gain confidence from our brand. So it's like, I mean, let's come hit this style. You know, like 2 months down the road, we might completely hit like a whole different path. You know,
and it's like every time we're in there, we're just creating design. Like I get chills. Like whenever we finally hit that spot where it's like, holy crap! Like this is really awesome. Like we actually did something here that like the vision that we had, like we made it happen. We're making it work. And we're like, wow, this is amazing. We're both in there just like going
in a hotel lobby.
Yeah, just like, oh, let's go.
It's like, dude, it's like we played golf at like our tee time was at like 10:30 at night. It was like a night golf. Tee time was at like 10:30. We ended up becoming friends with the starters. We got to play it twice. So we get off the course at like 12:30 at night. 1 in the morning, we start playing pool, and the next thing you know, it's 3 in the morning, and everybody's screaming in the hotel lobby because they finally just finished. Like they flipped the threes or whatever. They turned the E's into threes, and we're like, "Oh my gosh!" Everybody's going nuts, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's just cool to like watch. Yeah. It's cool to watch them do that because then you like in that moment, like your confidence that it's gonna be big. Yeah, it's like the second I saw these stickers, I was like, like these are selling.
More stickers coming soon.
So
stay tuned.
We talked about growing up in revival and encounters and transitions and business. So why don't you guys just a final word to, people, especially people in your age that might be listening to this, and hopefully you guys can help me get the word out on the podcast and
of course.
Get more young people listening to this.
Sir.
But what will be a final word that you say to people at your age that might be away from the Lord, or that might not have had the experience you guys had? And what will be your advice or final words to people at your age?
I would say, like, because I kind of said it earlier, like I grew up in this and still didn't know how deep and how good it is. Like, it doesn't matter. It can always get better and be better. Yeah. And if you're struggling with knowing who you are, just know that God loves you. You are beloved, and you are who you're supposed to be right now. And I don't know, I would say just find the people that you're meant to be around. Find the people that you're supposed to grow with.
Yeah, that's it. Like that's what I was gonna say. I knew he would say it. You gotta find the people. Like, 100%. And it's like there's no excuse for being like, oh, I'm just gonna do this alone.
Yeah.
Do you if you're really needing it? Like, if you're fine with staying where you are and being in it, then you don't really need it. For someone that really needs it and they need their life to turn around, find somewhere that the people will grow you in who you're supposed to be and keep reminding you who you're supposed to be. And they're everywhere, right? So it's like, if we can do like Covington, Georgia, there's the homestead of Covington. Uncle Mark was on here.
Yeah.
Aubrey, Texas, Crestview, Florida, Mobile, Alabama,
Panama City, Florida,
Kentucky,
right? Yeah, Kentucky,
Canada,
Ohio, Virginia,
South
Carolina, 2 in South Carolina, Charleston and Batesburg, Iowa now. So it's like, don't find people that you can hold on to. Find people that not only you can hold on to, but they can bring you up. Because that's what's gotten me to where I am.
I would say our whole friend group is so different, like from person to person. Like we have like the variety's crazy. Yeah, like some people I don't relate to at all, but the common focus is Abba. At the end of the day, it's like you might prefer to listen to this and I might prefer to listen to this, or you like doing this and I like doing this, but it's like at the end of the day we all come together and we all want to fix our eyes upon the one thing that like got us here. Like you can't run from it, you know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna keep getting you and you're gonna go through this and be like, oh, I need to source back to this. And it's like we're all there for each other to be like, yeah, dude, if you like, we're not going to think differently of you if you go do this, but we know that you're going to come back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we know that you have experienced this. And once you experience this, there's nothing more that you're ever going to want.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you can go out and you party and do all this, but at the end of the day,
Nothing comes close.
at the end of the day, you're going to look back at it and be like, that gives me no sort of the same feeling that just being in the presence of God does.
Yeah.
Amazing, guys. Thanks so much
Thank
for
you, sir.
sharing
It's an honor.
and being vulnerable. I really appreciate it. I think there's a lot that people can take from this conversation. Hopefully we can do maybe a second part in the future when you guys have
Run it
more
back.
drops.
Run it
Absolutely.
back.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
And I want to thank everybody for listening. Until next time.
Shout to the Encounter Sounds podcast. So if you're vibing with the sound, let me hear you say, I'm tuned into it. If the encounter's where you're bound, let me hear you say, I'm tuned into it. If your eyes have seen the light, let me hear you say, I'm tuned into it. For that knowledge and insight, let me hear you say, I'm tuned into it. Shout to the Encounter Sounds podcast.